Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name's Laurie. If you are new here, you can find me on all socials as Lauriereadz. I'm especially active on TikTok. I love the TikTok community. But today is going to be my July wrap up. I know this is incredibly late. I was kind of contemplating whether I wanted to do a July wrap up because I didn't read that much. I kind of feel like lately the amount of time I'm spending reading has just gone downhill. I'm just not picking up books as much as I used to. And if I am picking up books, I'm reading them incredibly slowly. I don't actually understand what's going on. I'm not quite in a book slump because I am reading books, but I'm not, I don't know, even the books I am reading, they're really exciting, but for some reason I'm just not reading them. I don't know what's going on. But I did read 6 books in July, which is not that great. I used to do 12 to 13 books in a month. I don't know what's going on, but hopefully it'll pick up again. I mean, I have read 77 books this year, so it's not like I'm not reading, but I just have so many books on my TBR and I'm just not reading them, which is bad because that just means the TBR is ever growing because I'm not buying books. Let me just say, August, book buying already out of control. I don't even want to talk about it. But I did read 6 books. I had 1 6-star read and 2 4.5 to 5-star. I'm still kind of dabbling with that. But a couple of disappointing reads. One in particular that I'm really sad about because I really thought it was going to be absolutely phenomenal. But let's dive into the books I read this month. This is in no particular order. This is just the pile I've put them in. But I read Fallen Gods by Rachel Van Dyke in July, and this was a book I was really excited about. I was sent this by the publisher when this first came out, and it just screamed a bit of me. If you don't know, I love books based on any sort of mythology, and this is based on Norse mythology, which I don't think I've read many like that I have on my shelves. And this did feel like a potential 4 to 5-star read, especially with the fact that it is in an academia setting. Now, you're following this FMC and she has to enter this very prestigious special academy, except the people running the academy is the family rival to hers. Now, these two families hate each other. In the human world, they are 2 rivaling mafia families, but in the world of gods and monsters, they are 2 families that have been at war for centuries. Now, the family that run the academy have no idea why they hate the rival academy. Their memories have been supposedly wiped, but she does know why they're rivaling and that she is the daughter of a god. Now, her father, who's a ruthless god and a very bad father, has sent his daughter to this academy to gain the Thor of Hammer and find it so that her father wants to return to his world. His magic is waning, his power is waning, and he is desperate to go back and re-establish his power. So she enters this academy on one set mission, except the son of the rival family ends up in her way a lot. There is history between them 2. There's chemistry between them 2 that they are fighting. Now, the reason I didn't love this is the relationship, is the romance. Even though they have this really big history between them 2, I don't feel like they really got to understand each other and really know each other for them to love each other, for them to kind of look past all their differences, all the reasons they can't be together, all the betrayals that have happened. And then it just felt too, I hate you one minute, I love you the next, which was really disappointing because that's not what I want from my romance. If it's going to be a slow burn, I want it to be a slow burn. I want those tiny moments of the characters getting to know each other, to understand that their prejudice is unfounded and what they thought they knew about each other was actually wrong. I love those moments, but I just feel like we didn't get any of those. And I feel like if there's ever going to be a situation where that would happen, it would be in this enemies to lovers situation. So it was really disappointing. It was also the plot. I think what happened is because the romance was so disappointing, it kind of took me out of the excitement of the plot a little bit, because I do think the development of the plot and all the plot twists that happened were very good. But I think when you're saying that this is a romance fantasy, I'm expecting the romance to be really good. I'm expecting the romance to be delicious and juicy and exciting. And when that doesn't happen, it just took me out of the plot a little bit and it just dampened my excitement for it. So I did end up rating this a 3 or 3.5 star. I'm still torn between that because I do think that the world and the plot and the characters were really interesting and had so much potential, but then it's just the romance that really let it down. Will I be continuing this series? I don't know. It's not like one of those books that I've read and then completely forgotten about. I remember everything that happened in this book. Mind you, I read it a month ago, so it's not that bad. But I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to be excited to read the second book with the direction that the romance went in. I don't know. I'm very confused. But yeah, it was just super disappointing because I do feel like this could have been insane. Next, I read Claimed by Fangs and Darkness. This is book 2 in the Everlasting Possession series by Maggie Senseri. This is the second duet within this world. It's a completely different series, but it's set within the same world as the first duet. And I loved it. It was a very good second book. Was it a resounding 5-star like the first book was? No. I ended up rating it 4.5. I think that this was really interesting, but there were certain decisions by the FMC that just really annoyed me because they didn't make sense, especially with all the information she was given, to then discard that and continue doing it anyway, and then being like, oh shit, the exact situation that everyone told me was going to happen ended up happening. I fucked up. And it was just like, well, yeah, we already knew that was going to happen because everyone told you. There was so much a reason as to not to go. It made no sense as to why you went. Anyway, I didn't like that decision, but everything else was really good. It is a little bit slow. The plot did take a while to like get moving and stuff, but this is again another book where it is the primary focus of the romance, not so much the plot. I mean, I think the plot and the world and the vampires are so well, incredibly done. But it is a book where first and foremost it is about the romance, and I do love the romance. It is a dark romance fantasy, so do read trigger warnings before you read this book. I just love the world that Maggie Senseri created. I'm addicted. I can't wait for the next duet. I do think that she left this book off in a way that does open up to another duet. I do feel like it kind of needs to be another duet because everything that happens within each of these duets is still happening and is still quite urgent. So if there is another duet, which I think there will be, I'm very, very excited about. So I will be picking up. I will read anything within this world. Next, I read Night Witch by Jamie and Eve. This is book 2 in the Spellcaster series. I don't actually know what the series is called, but if you don't know, if you don't follow me on TikTok or YouTube, and this is your first video, I read Spellcaster a couple months ago and it ended up being utterly addicted. I've now read another book where I have the same feeling as Spellcaster gave me, and it's also an incomplete series. I do think this is a duology, so it is a completed series. I think there is a potential for more books within this world, but whether she'll do it, I don't know. She did announce her new series, which I will be reading. But I feel like if you love Jasmine Moss, I do feel like you'd like this series also, although this is an academia book. But I just loved the adventure we went on with these characters. The setting was so much fun. The character relationships and friendships and family relationships that exist in this world was just so heartfelt, and I just felt like while reading this book I was right there along with the characters, just going through their life, and I just felt so part of it. And it also just felt so vivid. It was one of those books that I don't even realize I'm reading. I'm just so entranced by the book that time is flying by. My problems, my responsibilities don't exist. The first book was a 5-star. I think this was a 4.5. It was so good. This isn't one of those books where it's just like an amazing, well-rounded book full of plot and world building and stuff like that. It's not like, I don't know what book to compare it to, but it is just a really fun, quick read, and I'm just addicted to these books. And now I've found a new one that's got my complete and utter attention, and I love reading these books, especially if I'm in a book slump or I want to read for 24 hours or I just want to take my mind off my problems. I will always go back to books like this. I read my Fairy Romancy book pick, Verity Guild by Mia Corland. This was one of those book picks that I was really, really excited about because it is I've said this so many times now, I don't know if gonna keep repeating myself, but it is a murder mystery plot in a fantasy world, and oh my God, is this so good. This was one of those books that kept you on the tip of your toes. You had no idea what the answer to the mystery was. And every time you think you know, it's just like, oh wait, that isn't right. They've just proved that I was wrong. Who is it now? What was going on? What does this mean? And also just the romance that happens in here is just a very good slow burn full of tension and almost yearning, but he doesn't want to yearn, and the chemistry between them is just like exploding off the page. So you're following an FMC as she's a priestess, and her father, well, her adopted father recently died and she's taken his place. Now, her being the priestess of this God of Truth temple has set her up in a very, very powerful position. The whole kingdom worships the God of Truth over all the other gods. And so when she's taken up this position, she's in a very precarious position because she can't reach for too much power, or because there is the fear that, you know, they might try and end her for reaching too high and taking power away from the senators who rule this kingdom. Now, a very long time ago, there was a war that took away power from the royal family, who they believed to be corrupt and evil. And from that, a group of senators were set up to kind of distribute power evenly among the people. Now, every year or every so often, there is a tribunal, or there was an event that happened to have all the senators get together to make decisions about ruling the kingdom. And she kind of gets roped into it because murders of senators start happening, leaving gaps in power. And she's put in a very precarious position because she can't set herself up in a position of power within the senators, because they obviously don't want that, but they're kind of manipulating her. And she also needs to discover who is murdering these senators. Now, we also have this person called a protector. Now, he is supposed to protect the senators, and he's there at the event also. And he hates her because of something that happened very, very long ago. He hates her. They're enemies on his side. She doesn't really see him as an enemy, but she sees him as someone she has to stay away from to protect herself and her very, very deadly secret. And let me just say, them being pushed together to work together to solve this mystery, because she's kind of being set up as the fall guy, is so juicy. It's just like every moment between them is just like, give me more. I want to see him beg for her, and it's so good. I cannot wait. I've said this a lot, but I cannot wait for the second book. I can't wait to see these characters together and just be back in this world with all this intense mysteries and misunderstandings and corruption, and it's just so good. It's so good. I cannot recommend this enough. If you're looking for something very new in a fantasy world, I do recommend Verity Guild. One of my other fairly romancy book picks was Death's Daughter by S.A. Barnes, which I also read in the month of July. Now, I already knew off the bat that this was not going to be a 5-star read, but it did seem intriguing enough to keep my attention, and it was, to an extent. For some reason, I do have a YouTube video of me reading these books, trying to read my fairly romantic TBR, but for some reason, off the bat, I didn't like this FMC, and you could very much see that in my YouTube channel. I had a lot of frustration with this FMC. I could not understand her at all. She was very back and forth. I want to protect the world, but I also don't want to be the one to do the protecting. I don't think these people should have power, but I also don't want to, like, it was very back and forth. It didn't make sense. It just annoyed me, because I'm like, well, if you're going to say something and follow through, you know, just follow through. It's not that hard. And I also just didn't really understand the old ones in this world and why she did vaguely explain, but there was like other gaps to their history and their reason of being that I didn't totally understand. And also their power. I didn't understand how the power worked. I didn't understand their role in the world. I thought I did, and I kind of took this understanding because it was what made sense, but it was never properly explained, and it just annoyed me that we weren't told enough about the old ones. Like, how many are there? Who are they? You know, just so many questions. I don't think the world building was very good at all. But yeah, nothing about this book kept me hooked. Nothing about this book was intriguing. I didn't really care for anything that was happening in here. Yeah, won't be picking up any future books by S.A. Barnes. I just don't feel like she's one of those authors that works for me. I don't know if this is a series or not. It probably is, to be quite honest, with the way it ended. But yeah, it was overall very, very disappointing. I think I rated this like a 2.5 star. It was just didn't blow me away, wasn't anything special, didn't do much, and yeah, it's like I said, overall very disappointing read. And last but not least, the book I started July with is The Lion and the Deathless Dark by Carissa Broadbent. This is the second to last book in the Crowns of Nyaxia universe, the last duet of this series, which is insane to say because I've been reading this book since The Serpent in the Wings of Night was indie published, and that was a very, very long time ago. And now we're at the final duet, and it's a story that's kind of has been built up since book one. While every duet follows different characters, this duet has been built up since book one. So much backstory and so much was being built behind the scenes that you really had to pay attention to understand the potential of what this book was going to be. And reading the second to last duet had me so excited for this book because it gave so many hints. It gave this character so much space and so much intrigue that I've been foaming at the mouth for this book since since that duet. And this was everything I wanted it to be, that I didn't even know I wanted it to be. The way Carissa Broadbent wrote this book shows her love for this series. Like, she wrote this book and you could feel the love for this series pouring out. It's just the way she gave space for all the other books and all the other characters and just wrote them in a way that you just felt like they were just so prominent. I don't know how to explain it, but I could tell she loves this duet, and I could tell that she really had this story ready to go since book one. She knew exactly where she was going with this. She lined up the dominoes and this is it falling. And the fact that I have to wait like potentially another year for the next book, and this book just came out. I did read this early, but the fact that I have to wait like potentially a year, maybe a little bit longer for the final book is unfathomable. But I will wait any length of time to have the ending to this story that it deserves. And it's also just really heart-wrenching that this is the end of this series. Like, this is one of my god tier favorite interconnected duet series that I've ever read. Like, this is what got me into reading interconnected duets, and I've never looked back. But the world that she has built up and every duet that's added and expanded the story in this world was just done so masterfully. And I could never regret reading the series, no matter like how sad I am that it is ending. But if you haven't read this interconnected duet, if you have not read this interconnected series by Carissa Broadbent, like, now just is the perfect time because it's almost wrapped up. So it means you don't have to wait very long for the entire series to be done. And it's addicting. This series is very addicting. It's some of the best fantasy, romance, vampires book I've ever read in my entire life. And I regret not annotating this book, but I did want to annotate my hardcover because all my other books are hardcovers. But I'm so incredibly grateful and forever grateful that the publishers sent me the advanced reader's copy of The Lion and the Deathless Dark, because first of all, it's my god tier book. I could never have imagined that I would be in a position in my life where I would receive one of my favorite authors' books early. Like, it's just unfathomable to me, and I'm just so excited. So thank you so freaking much. And yeah, if you take any of my recommendations, take this one because you will not regret it and you will never look back. So that is all the books I read in July. I don't know if I'm going to read that much more in August, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I really, really hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, comment and subscribe. Please let me know if there's any books that you're planning on reading. As I said before, you can find me on all socials as Lauriereadz, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.